Hi everyone, I'm Jada Burt and this is In My Tracks. You know that feeling when a song comes on and it's so good that it feels like you're frozen in time? Well, that's what this podcast is all about. Songs that stop me in my tracks. I chat with musicians about their inspiration, process, and challenges. And you discover your new favorite songs. El Ritmo Del Mañana is a Latin jazz band that I have had the pleasure of seeing live several times in Cincinnati. And trust me, these world-class musicians bring the house down every single time. They never fail to amaze me with their unique arrangements of Latin jazz standards and their breathtaking original songs. Their music breathes life, culture, and positive energy into every space they occupy. And I am so thankful to be able to see them thrive in real time. Let's get tracking. All right, welcome to In My Tracks with Jada Burt. Here I am with the best band in Cincinnati, El Ritmo Del Mañana. The first thing I'm going to do is shower you guys with compliments because you play with so much passion and you clearly practice an intense amount of hours, mastered your instruments, it sounds like. So yeah, I'm so grateful to have seen you guys live so many times and to hear your original pieces. Thank you guys for playing. So I just want to start out with you guys introducing yourselves, if you can.
Yeah, I'll start. I'm Zion Sosa. I was born and raised in California, so I'm not native to Cincinnati. I moved here I've been here for a while now, about 9 or 10 years now. And yeah, that's me. I'm a percussionist. I studied at Northern Kentucky University. And yeah.
My name is Spencer Merck. I'm the trombonist in the group. I'm a Cincinnati native, born and raised, and I came through the University of Cincinnati in the College Conservatory of Music. Graduated in 2021. Yeah.
I'm Christian Paradiso. I'm the saxophonist in the group, and I will basically reiterate everything else Spencer just said. I'm a Cincinnati native. I graduated from UCCCM in 2021. And I think that's about it.
All right. Hi, I'm Derek Johnson. Just like what Spencer and Christian said, I'm also a Cincinnati native. I went to CCM for jazz studies for drum set performance. But I graduated in 2022, not 21. So I'm like the baby of the group.
All right. So I'd love to know how you all met each other. You guys seem to have a lot of chemistry on stage, and I'd love to know how it all started.
So I'll be the one to talk about this one, and you guys add whatever you want. But I think the first person I met was Spencer, and I saw him playing with the Flying Circus Big Band at the Greenwich, and I remember thinking Spencer looked so young. I was like, man, this high schooler is so good at the trombone. And then one of the friends I knew at the time introduced me to him. I was like, yeah, he's a sophomore at CCM, and I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. I was like, you're so good at the trombone. And so I met him there, and then we started to get to know each other, and then I started the band and I asked him to play in it. I met Christian through Spencer because they are best friends and roommates, so that's how I met them. And then Derek went to CCM with them, and so Derek actually, his first gig with us was a Valentine's Day show that we did at Revel in OTR, and it was like the most fun I had ever had playing with the drummer. So Derek's been the drummer for El Ritmo ever since then. I think that was 2020.
It was right before COVID.
Right before COVID.
Valentine's Day right before COVID.
Oh man,
yeah.
That's a big one.
It's a great way to start off the band,
Yes.
being in the band.
I gotta add, me, Christian, and Derek actually go way back musically to when we were all in high school. Christian and Derek specifically, we used to play in this rock band. It was Derek's rock band, and he was playing the drums. And we were, man, what we were playing some Chicago. We were playing some Tower of Power, and we would do these really late night gigs for really terrible money. And I mean that's where sort of my love for playing music professionally was born, and so that's how the three of us started, kind of met each other musically. And I've always thought it was really cool how we've ended up in Cincinnati's jazz scene however many years later. still playing in the same band.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very late to the scene because I played. When I moved here, I got into music when I was in high school and started playing percussion, classical percussion. And then when I went to college, my first year at Northern was a classical performance. And then I met some really cool jazz musicians through NKU, and then I switched my major to jazz vibraphone, and then so on and so forth.
So yeah, I loved hearing how you all met. So I'd love to know how you actually started the band and decided to play professionally here in Cincinnati and in Ohio.
Yeah. So this is actually, I love telling this story because it starts off kind of morbid. Not morbid, just a little sad. I remember I had this idea, like when I was at Northern, I had just started playing jazz, and they had a Latin jazz combo there. And I was like, you know what? I see all of my friends, they're gigging all the time. I would love to start my own Latin jazz band. And I went to go ask advice from a professor. I'm not going to name any names. And I was just like, hey, I'm like, what advice do you have for me? I would love to start my own Latin jazz band. And he was like, well, don't do that. He was like, you won't be able to do it. Like, you can't even play music. And I was just like, wow. Like, I was so shot down. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyways, you know? Yes. So I should say thank you to that person because it actually gave me, like, I was, like, determined after that meeting. I was like, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it successfully. So I went ahead and pretty much got everyone from that Latin jazz combo to be in it at first. I met Spencer, and I asked Spencer to play trombone. It also, like, the universe kind of works in a weird way where it was like we ended up having a master class at NKU for the percussion department, and it was a guy that used to go there who was a percussionist and graduated a while back, but he became a booking manager. So the master class was totally just like about booking gigs, like touring gigs, regular gigs, and just how to do that. So I was like wondering all of this information, like, and I was like, wow, I needed all of that. So after the master class, I talked to him, and then that day I like texted everyone. I was like, here's our first gig, here's the band, like, we're going to do this, and then that's it. Yeah, that was how it started.
One of the really cool things I think about this band is pretty much everyone that's currently in it joined the band at a different time. So me and Zion were the only two original members that remain in the band, and then Christian, were you in the band at the point where Derek joined in 2020?
Yeah.
Okay. So you joined, probably late 2019?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was very loose as to when I was like an actual member of the band. And
yeah.
But around there.
And then Derek, he did that first gig in early 2020, but you still, you weren't like in the band yet. That was just sort of the first time that, you know, she heard you and everything. And then as COVID went on, you kind of became the guy, right?
Right.
Yeah,
because whenever, I mean, we might get into this later, but like after COVID happened, and then a few months later, we started playing at Cafe Vivace, like monthly.
Yeah.
Back, and those were like some of the first gigs back, and that was crazy. And those were like the first like stuff that we started doing a lot.
Yeah. So the period that the band's in now is kind of like the first time in its history that it's been a steady roster of the same musicians, and that's been a real driving force for us, that we could have the same people who are all incredible musicians.
And that's what you said, like, our chemistry is like we're all friends too, so that's a big thing. Like they said, they've known each other, but I've gotten to know each of them individually and as a group and professionally. And you know, that time of COVID, we were able to play together and just kind of build that chemistry. You know, I think they were even bi-weekly. Like, I think we were doing it bi-weekly. And yeah, that's how the sound kind of came out of that. And then we were just so used to playing with each other that it was always like, okay, what's the next thing we can do to make us sound even better?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Like, it's never like 4 or 5 or 6 musicians just playing individually. I really see you guys as a cohesive unit, and yeah, it's amazing to see live.
Oh, thank you.
So Zion, I got your story about why you play jazz music. That was very inspiring, but I'd love to know why the rest of you play jazz, because as you know, it's not the most popular genre. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll jump in first. For me, jazz was always a part of my life growing up, in the way that my parents sort of, gave me an introduction to it. Like, it wasn't, my parents aren't jazz musicians or anything like that, but it was around me, and, I did the school band thing, and when it was, proposed to me, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, like, group that I can audition for rather than, be a part of just, like, the band. And it just inspired this, like, love for the music. It was like, even from a young age, I was just, like, very interested in improvisation, and the idea of, like, every day I would get to take a solo rather than having to wait wait for my turn, like in a concert band setting or something like that. And, as I grew, I just, more and more, I just fell in love with the music and the idea of improvisation, and, just getting to play all the time, and it being, my interpretation of music as it goes on. And another part of it that I think is really wonderful, or that I've always enjoyed about the improvisatory aspect of the music, is, it allows you, or it almost forces you to not be a perfectionist, in the way that, like, you play something and it's there, and you can't change it, you can't go back, and it's like you have to be in the moment no matter what. And that's something that's always really attracted me to the music. And going along with the wonderful history of the music, and, like, all the cultural aspects that make it so, like, cool and interesting, and it's just like this giant like heap of love. But yeah, I think that about covers it.
So yeah, a lot of what Christian said, I definitely feel a similar way, but I guess the story of how I got into the music, it's not really all that, special. Just like a lot of people, I started playing an instrument in early middle school, and then once jazz band rolled around, I just thought that music, like what Christian was saying, was just so much more fun and exciting to play. And then, as I got older and I kept with it, I found that jazz music was something that I was kind of drawn to. I was naturally sort of better at it than I was at the other music I was playing. So that led me to practice that more and to pursue more opportunities with that outside of school. And then I got to the point later on in high school where I got together with a teacher who was really deep into the Cincinnati jazz scene, and he really exposed to what it meant to be a professional jazz musician. And I just thought that was the coolest thing ever, and I still do. And thanks largely in part to that guy, who's Dominic Marino, trombone player in town. I got a lot of really cool playing opportunities at an early age, where it just cemented it for me. It was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. This is what I should be doing. And that's sort of still what I base everything I do around, is like being a professional jazz musician is just cool. And that's why I like doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. I have a bit of a different story, though, when it comes to why I play jazz music. Real quick, when I started playing drum set, was like in my band and everything at school, like these guys, and I did classical band throughout middle school, and then in high school marching band. But I went to a smaller high school, so we didn't really have a jazz band, like a big jazz band program at all. So I didn't really get introduced to jazz until like my senior year of high school. And I knew I wanted to pursue music, and there wasn't really a good outlet or a good way to get into it, unless you kind of went for jazz school. Because I was thinking about where I was going to go, and it was either UC, Indiana University, or Berkeley up in Boston. And it ended up that I went to UC, and it was for jazz, of course. And it was going to be a really tough challenge, because I just was not used to it. I already knew Spencer and Christian were there, and I knew how good they were at jazz. So going in, I was a bit nervous. I was like, okay, I'm going to be sat down. I'm going to be put in my place, kind of thing. Like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a challenge. So When I got there, though, it was all right, and I ended up just trying to work really hard and everything, and got a lot of really cool opportunities right away that I'm so grateful for from the professors and everything, trusting me and everything, and just the 4 years of being at CCM has helped me tremendously, and I knew the main reason why I wanted to go to jazz school is that I wanted to get better at drums. My favorite kind of music isn't exactly jazz. It's a lot of like pop, funk, R&B stuff. I love that stuff. But I understand, and I've been told this by teachers too, like that stuff comes from jazz, and so does rock, so does country, blues. Everything basically we listen to nowadays is from jazz music. So I knew it would be a very good idea to get into that. And I'm very thankful that I was able to have that opportunity. And, starting out in college, I really wasn't a biggest fan of it. I enjoyed playing it a lot. I didn't really enjoy listening. But now that I'm out of college and like I don't have to play every single day in an ensemble or anything, I definitely miss it. It's something that I've grown to actually love and enjoy. And it sucks when I don't get to play it every day now, like with other people. And that's my favorite part about playing jazz is the playing with everybody and the improvisation and everybody listening to each other, and everybody's egos just go out the door because it's just you have to be listening. You have to make everybody sound better. You have to be an accompanist to make the soloist sound good. So it's always just such a fun process for me, and I always love diving into that. And I try to take that and put it into my other groups that I play with and everything. And I take those ideas of listening and everything and apply it to everybody else. So yeah. Jazz music is very fun, though.
Agreed.
I would say, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. When you guys play live and even listening to your studio recordings, it's like I can hear you guys having fun, not focusing too much on perfection, listening to each other, call and response. Like I can definitely hear that. So I'd say you've mastered that. And so I'd love to know, like, who do you make music for specifically?
For me, it definitely started off selfish. Like, it was just for me. Like, I wanted to create this Latin jazz band. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm mixed. I'm Puerto Rican, Korean, and Filipino. And then I got some probably white, German, Irish, something in there from my grandpa or something. But so I really fell in love with, like, when we were in the Latin jazz combo, just like that style of music, salsa, merengue, bachata, like all of that. It really caught my attention, and just playing hand percussion was so much fun. So like I really just wanted to get this band together to just start playing and making music and being able to pick the music I wanted to play. And just with the people in Cincinnati. So like these guys, have made me such a better musician from where I started. Like getting to play with them has been so awesome for my personal growth as a musician. But now I will say, like, as we kept going, a big thing, and this is going to sound kind of like mushy, but there's a bunch of little girls that come to our gigs and they're like, oh my gosh, like, I want to play drums. I want to be a drummer. And that at first made me feel so awkward because I'm just like, I don't know what to say to you. Like, I'm 23, but I still feel like I'm a kid. I don't know what I'm doing. But just seeing that, and just like, a mom came up to me and she said, my daughter's seen you before and it's so inspiring. She's so nervous to play drums because she thinks it's a male instrument. And I was like, well, tell her to get that idea out of her head, because like anyone can play drums. There's amazing female drummers out there. And so I think that is now like where I get kind of my like why I want to keep making music, just to be that person where these younger girls can look at and be like, I can do that. Like, I didn't realize that impact was happening. And when I did, I was like, wow, that is really awesome. So I think that is probably the main reason.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It really matters. Representation matters so much. So it's beautiful that you've connected that, and while you're doing something that you love to do. I
guess I play music for me. I do it because it's what I love to do. But I think the only other entity I would ever play music for is my friends. You know, I got a bunch of friends, including these guys in the music scene, and they'll have their own projects and they'll have their own things that they've got going on. And if they ask you to be a part of it, then I consider that to be a great honor, and it makes me feel very good when someone says, you know, I've got this project that I'm working on. It's very special to me. I want to trust you with part of it to make it, you know, sound the way I want it to sound. So I get a lot of pride from that, but that's also, you know, I would say I play music for those people to help them, you know, achieve their goals in that way.
Yeah, I think going along with that, you know, as we've said, jazz being a super communal music, it's, you know, I would say that I definitely make music for my friends. It's like, and it's it is a selfish thing in that is like, I want to feel those connections, but like, making those connections with those people is why I love to do it so much. And so, in fact, I always say it when people say things like, oh, well, the crowd loved it. And I was like, yeah, but did the band love it?
Right.
You know, it's definitely like always hoping that the music that I play is connecting with other people, especially when we're making music together. So I really like to play for my friends just as much as I like to play for myself.
Yeah, it's such an interesting concept because it's like, you know, you play music for people. Like, I mean, we go up there and we're performers, we're entertainers. Mm-hmm. We go out and play on Fridays and Saturday nights, and, you know, we're the entertainment. We don't go out for entertainment all the time. So it's always an interesting concept because, like, you do that for people, but then also you want it to be good, and you want it to be good for everybody around you and your friends and everything. So that's a tough question, I feel like, but I feel like it's such a whole bigger thing. Like, performing music is just bigger than just yourself, or like, you know, I mean, even your friends or just the people in the crowd. Like, it's just like, it just makes everybody just feel so good. And then I feel like for me, the reason why I love playing music is like, and who I play for is just for everyone, and just to make the room a good vibe and just happy and everything, and just everybody having a good time, you know?
Oh, yeah. I think that's a really wonderful point, too. I think to sum it all up is like, I definitely want to make music myself, my friends, and just everyone involved. Like, I want to make people happy. You know, I want to make people feel good when they're playing music with me, listening to me play music. I definitely want to make myself happy when I play music. Yeah. Like, that is a great point.
Yeah.
I think also, like, just being a jazz musician, there's like two sides of it, or a musician in general. There's like the sideman side, and then there's like the your project, your passion project side of it. So like El Ritmo is definitely like my passion project, and these Spencer has a few of his own projects that he put together, and then like being a sideman, you get to play all of these different gigs where it's always like the reasoning like for making the music is always different. So like El Ritmo for me is my passion project, so I do it for myself, but also I do it for, you know, the audience, and we do it for that. But like when you're a sideman in someone else's project, you know, you are playing for them. Like you want to make their project come to life. So yeah.
So when do you feel the most fulfilled then, when you're playing, you know, when you're playing like in side projects and stuff? Like, how, like, do you feel like, you know, you're using pieces of yourself and all these different projects, or do you feel like you're really using like your full strength, your full skill in all these like different projects? Because with El Ritmo, like, since you guys are like kind of pulled, you know, in several different directions, from my view, I see like 10 like across the board, like crazy passion, 10 practice. So like how does it feel to like spread yourself across so many different projects and still come back to your passion project?
So I will say I'll let these guys talk a little bit more about that because they do more of the sideman thing than I do. But what Spencer said for sure is like when someone asks you to be a part of their project, that is a great deal because it means they think you're a good musician. Basically, they want you to be a part of their project. They're like, this guy is going to play drums or trombone the best, and I want him to be a part of it. So it's like when someone asks you to record for them or just like be a part of their band, it is a great compliment, and I think you feel fulfilled in helping make their kind of dream come true with their project.
Yeah, well, with El Ritmo specifically, I feel like I'm speaking for everyone. Where this project has gotten very personal for us because we all came into it as just sidemen just because Zion admired our playing, which is how most things work with that. But since we've been in it for so long at this point, and since a lot of us have contributed our own original music to the project, we feel like part of it is ours because we've all, at this point, everyone's put a lot into it. Of course, none more than Zion herself. But it is always neat, and it's pretty rare that this happens, where it's not your project, but you can take ownership of a small part of it, and I think that's really neat. I would say, other than this band, that's not really going on for me with a lot of other groups in this city. So this band for a long time has been a really unique opportunity to not just help someone out with their project, but to really participate in it and invest in it.
Yeah, that was always my biggest thing is I thought, like, of course, the deeper you can get, I felt like the better the connection and chemistry would be. And I always wanted everyone to chime in, especially because I really looked up to these guys. And Eric Lecklider, who's our trumpet player, he is like, and they can all agree with me, he's, we call them cats. He's the cat in the jazz scene. Like, he is the guy that is, like, the best educator, best band leader, best sideman, just best trumpet player. He is so amazing, arranger, composer, all of that. So having him in it, having Spencer, having Christian and Derek, these people who have been doing it for a while, like, it was so much fun to, like, be around that. And I always wanted their advice. Like, you guys have played in other bands. Like, what can I do? They also like to write original music. And I was like, I want as much original music as we can get so we can make El Ritmo not this, like, Latin jazz cover band, but we're actually producing some of our own stuff. And sadly, on Escalone, we have a lot of original arrangements on that one, but and Spencer has one original, but we didn't get a lot of original music for the first one in. But it was still super fun to do. I really wanted to get this band on an album and a record and get that out there for, people to just know our name. Like, so yeah.
So what do you want, like, I feel like you all have touched on this a little bit, but, like, what do you want to accomplish with the band?
Ooh.
Big question.
That's a
big question.
Yeah, great question. I feel like this band has accomplished more than I ever expected. Like, we've done things and just, like, played so much, we've recorded 3 albums right now. 2 of them aren't out yet. And I just couldn't, at the time when I was starting it, would have never imagined that would have happened. And even if you asked me a year ago, I probably would have been like, oh, we're going to record out? No, you're lying. It's not going to happen. We also ended up doing a show that was like, it was just really crazy. Like, this, there's a lady in the jazz scene, her name's Sue, and she just loves us so much. She, like, got a show together for us to play with this jazz drummer. His name's Jeff Hamilton, and he's like he's like famous. Like, he's like
royalty.
He's in LA.
Yeah,
he is amazing. So we, like, did that show, and that was, like, probably a peak, I feel like, for us. We were like, wow, we just played with Jeff Hamilton. How did that happen? And he actually was so complimentary. Like, he is known to speak the truth, to tell you his opinion, which is he's allowed to do that. He's a great musician, and he was very, very kind, and just he said he really enjoyed playing with us. He was like, he sat me down and was like, Zion, you have a good group, keep doing it. And it was just really nice to hear that from him. And then that same weekend, we ended up playing a late set after him, this bass player John Clayton,
Terrell Stafford.
Yeah, Terrell Stafford on trumpet, and who was playing? Was it Steve?
I think Steve Schmidt.
Steve Schmidt, who's local to Cincinnati. And we played after them, the late set, 11 p.m. to 12 p.m. 12 a.m. at Cafe Vivace, and they actually stuck around. Jeff stuck around to listen to us, and then Terrell sat in, the trumpet player, and that was like crazy. We were just like, whoa. And they were all super complimentary. They were like, this is a great band. Like, and it just felt weird because like they are, how old are they? They're like in their
at least
60s?
50.
Yeah, at least 50.
50s, 60s, yeah. So it was just crazy to have those people like say that to us. So like, I obviously would love to keep this band going. We did recently lose, I like to call it, that was like an era of the band, was this band, Christian, Spencer, me, Derek, and then our piano player, Ryan Jones, who's on Escalon. That was like an era of El Ritmo that just was almost like, I'm not gonna compare it to the Miles Davis quintet, but it just, it kind of was like that. It was like having that group of people that you just like, it was like, man, like we could not rehearse and we'd get together and we'd play and it'd be awesome. Like, but now we've lost Ryan, and we have another amazing piano
He just
player.
moved to Nashville,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
He's fine.
Oh yeah,
He's alive. He's alive.
So now that we have a new person, and Ryan used to cover piano and bass, so now I've actually decided to get a bass player again, because it is kind of tough in the style of Latin jazz and salsa to play those rhythms together. And so Chris Caparelli is our new piano player, and I hope to, I really want to keep documenting our music, so recording some albums when the ideas come, when we get more music, and I would love to go on tour for our next album that we're releasing, next album, not the Christmas album. We just got done recording a third album in July of all original compositions. Ooh. So yeah, that was really cool. I think there's 2 from Christian, 2 from Spencer, 2 from me, and then we did 1 cover as the rhythm section. Mm-hmm. So I would love to go on tour and try to get something like that together before these guys move away.
Yes.
So yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Really excited about the Christmas album.
You guys can still buy it next year, but it's all original arrangements of Christmas music. So you have some from Christian, a lot from Spencer or me, and actually Eric Lecklider did one, and that happened during COVID. But actually, there's a studio in town that we didn't record it at, but we've recorded Escalon and the third album with him. It's Golden Mean Studios, and they're actually going to release it on their label, the Christmas album. So we're super excited for that, and he's going to do all of that stuff. But yeah, it comes out in December, and it's really cool. I think these guys write amazing music, so it's really neat.
Yeah, I can't wait. So I'd love to know like what you want to be known for as a band. Like, what do you have, like 4 years under your belt now?
3.5.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 3.5.
Okay.
Almost 4. I like to. So these. Okay, jazz is a male-dominated scene for sure, and we're working to change that. But that's why everyone in my band is a man. So these guys, I get very mushy with them. So our band anniversary is actually in April. So it will be 4 years next April.
Wow.
That we have been playing together. And man, what do we want to be known for?
I know what I want us to be known for.
What?
I would love if this band was, a name that all the music lovers in town knew for having great improvisers and for playing a lot of really cool, really fresh, really inspired original music, which I think we are well on our way to doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially with that, and going or being a little cliche here and going off of our name, the Rhythm of Tomorrow. It's like, I think that I speak for all of us when I say that, like, I would really like us to like push forward with what we're doing with our music, like finding something new, making new things happen, and along with what Spencer said, of course, is like being wonderful improvisers and just being known for just being really, really good at what we do.
Yeah, and actually you brought up an amazing point. That's how I named the band. It was like we were all younger, and like the way the scene works is like you kind of make your way in, and the next generation takes over and takes the music somewhere and, keeps the scene alive. So that was kind of my thing. It was like we were young. We were those next people to, like, take the torch and try to make something of the scene and, like, add what we could to it. And, yeah, that was El Ritmo Del Mañana, means the rhythm of tomorrow. I was like, hopefully that makes a statement, and that is what we're known for, is like carrying on the torch and adding what we can add to the jazz scene in Cincinnati, and hopefully bigger than that. We'll see.
Yeah.
We hope.
Honestly, a smaller goal would probably to get people to say our name correctly.
Yeah, that is.
Reliably. So that's been a big struggle for us historically. With El Rito
De Manana.
El Rito is my favorite part of it. Constantly is always El Rito.
Yeah.
It's a struggle, but it's okay.
One day.
We're in the Midwest. It's fine.
That's true. That is very true.
Do you want to take a moment for like phonetics? Help the people out.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Take some Spanish class.
Oh man. Okay.
This is Spanish 101.
Oh no. Okay, well, I'm not a very good Spanish speaker. I grew up around like Spanish speaking, like my grandpa spoke Spanish, my mom spoke a little bit, but I'm not very good. But okay, it's L, like just the letter L, and then Ritmo Del, like Del Taco.
Exactly.
And then mañana, like everyone knows morning, mañana, but when you put like Del Mañana, it means tomorrow. So, yeah.
You made a Del Taco reference. The Midwestern listeners are not going to understand that.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm from California. Sorry.
What does it mean?
Taco
Please explain.
Del.
It's a taco place.
What does
It
Del
is
Taco mean?
Better than Taco Bell. Just saying. I hope
See, now you
don't have any
lost all of
Taco
our
Bell
Midwestern
listeners.
listeners. No one's listening anymore.
Taco Bell Spencer.
you could just
Oh
cut
my
all of that
gosh.
out.
No, that was helpful. I think everyone will be able to pronounce it now.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was pretty easy, but I think that'll help.
Well, just wait till you need to announce us on stage, and then that seems to be who messes it up the most. Is anyone who's like, and now, please welcome. Oh crap! How do I say this?
It's funny too because they come up to me and they're like, "Okay, Zion, say it for me real quick," and I go, "El Ritmo Del Mañana." I don't even roll the R. I'm just like, it's very simple. El Ritmo Del Mañana, and then they'll go on stage and they're like, "El Rito de Manana," and I'm like, close enough.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. All right, so I feel like you all have touched on this a little bit, but I'd love to get like, because I've heard you guys talk about how fun it is to play with each other. You guys want to sound good to each other, the audience, and I'd love to know like what are your favorite parts of the music making process, like behind the scenes, recording, mixing, on the way, like the whole process before you start performing songs.
Man.
The process is hard. The process is probably like, it's still enjoyable, but it's probably the most stressful part of it. Cause like, say for something like that show with Jeff Hamilton, I mean, we had to get that music together, and we had to rehearse without him, because obviously he's a big guy. He's like, I'm just gonna play the gig with you guys. Like, I'm not gonna rehearse with you. And so we were like, we need to rehearse because we need to be like on our A game. So it's just like the logistics of it is like, okay, we have to get this music done. We have to rehearse and make sure everything sounds good. And, I always want to, my goal as like the band leader, I have to think in a business way sometimes, and what would be good for El Ritmo as a business. So rehearsing and getting all that to get getting a good sound is like just a good product. Like you're putting out a good brand to people. So I think the pre stuff is probably not my favorite part. Because like the gig is always the favorite part because you got the energy and you get to play the music and you've worked so hard. But I don't know. What about you guys? Do you guys like the pre stuff?
I think my thoughts on it are that I think there is love to find in that stuff, but I would call it a labor of love. To me, a lot of it does seem like a bit of a means to an end. I want to play music with people, in front of people, and I'm willing to do that prep work so that it can happen. And in terms of a favorite part, I don't really know that I have a favorite part of prepping it, but I will say labor of love.
Yeah,
That's a great tune name.
So music, just like literally anything else in the world, in order to get good at it, you need to practice it every single day. And what that involves is literally every single day you need to ask yourself, what am I bad at? What do I suck at? And then you need to methodically, painstakingly target that exact thing and get better at it. So there's a lot of frustration and personal turmoil that goes into everything we do as musicians, and it's because of that. It's because you have to be extremely honest with yourself, and you need to put in an immense amount of work in order to make just a little bit of progress. And even with a band like this, sometimes you'll do a performance and all the stuff you've been working on, everything for the past however many years you've been playing, everything that you've been building toward just doesn't work out, and you sound bad and you don't feel good, and you go home and it's like, man, why do I even do this? So there's like a lot of devastating aspects to this music. So the most rewarding part of anything that I do with any band is when it all comes together and like that thing you've been practicing works out well, and all of your bandmates audibly appreciate your playing, and it's like, man, okay, so this is proof that everything I've sacrificed in order to do this has been worth something. And a band that plays as often as this, and with good musicians in it, and good music that we're playing, there's so many opportunities for that payoff to happen. So for me, that's the value of this band. It's entirely selfish. It's just like an opportunity to prove to myself that like that time that I'm spending in the practice room is paying off, and you're truly making progress. And I've been playing in it since the beginning, so there's a lot of videos and old recordings of us where I can go back and listen to myself. It's like, man, I was young, and flash forward a few years, same exact band, and I could be proud of that progress I've made.
Yeah, and I think I also enjoy the fact that like people have been able to see that as well, just like our growth as a group. Because so you can go on our YouTube and you can see our first gig, a video from our first gig ever, and man,
really?
does it sound interesting.
I need to find that.
And of course, like I remember all of our parents being there and just like our friends, and they were like, oh my gosh, you sound so good. And then we go back and listen to that video, like, wow, we sound so bad. And it's just like, I don't know, but what Spencer said is like kind of just like proving to yourself you're gonna have bad days. It's gonna happen. And like we've had bad gigs. Like at the start, it was a little more often than it is now. And but it just happens, and like you do have to really be like self-evaluate. Like what was my fault? Like why did that happen? What can I do to make it not happen again? And I mean that's how it is for like any gig you're on, because then you have to be like, if you mess up and they don't call you back, you have to be like, oh man, why did they not call me back? So like jazz can get a little dark sometimes.
A little.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, if you look back through the history of jazz, there are a few characters that were a little dark.
Yeah, and maybe it wasn't all smiles.
People can read about that on their own time.
So I'd love to know, like, because I have listened to your studio recordings, but I mainly see you all as like a live band that I'm excited to see. I'm like, holy crap, they have a show. I'm going. So like, what's your favorite song to perform?
Oh, this is the question.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
man.
question.
Derek, what about you?
All right, I'll go first. All right, I think right now, actually no, I think if it was like a whole picture throughout the entire time I've been in the band, it's got to be Eleanor Rigby.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it's like, it's such a, I mean, it's the Beatles tune, of course. It's not like, yeah. Spencer did an amazing arrangement on it, and it's like a really cool bossa nova thing, and like sometimes we usually do it kind of faster and everything, and it's a challenge for me too because, you know, the form is a bit strange, and then he adds in a few like 3/4 parts and like 12/8 bars and all this kind of stuff, and then like there's a really cool drum solo at the end it's like 3 measures of 4/4 and then 1 measure of 3/4, and it's like, you know, you have to be on your toes the whole time you're playing it, and it's a really fun challenge every time we get to do it, and that's also on the album.
It is.
It's on Escalon.
Yes, it is on us.
And it's that's definitely, I don't know. You know, yeah, that's my favorite one on the album, definitely. Yeah.
As a quick sidebar, as the writer of that arrangement, it's a perfect example of writing for the band. So I knew Derek was going to be the one playing it, and I knew that he would excel at that style and all those weird time changes. And what do you know? He does. Who would have guessed?
Stop. And then of course Ryan Jones was playing piano on that.
Oh man.
and,
Yeah.
I
Ryan,
mean, he has that cool piano part at the beginning, and it's just insane.
who once again is only in Nashville.
Yes,
Yes, he's only in
Very much alive.
But Ryan,
well.
Ryan too, just like he's also a percussionist, like an amazing percussionist. Like I've played gigs with him while he's playing drum set and I'm playing hand percussion, when he's playing vibraphone and I'm playing hand percussion, and I'm just like, Ryan, but he's an amazing pianist. So, but that was like a big thing for me and Derek. It was like he understands rhythm so well. Like he is so rhythmic in his playing. So it was so fun for us. Like especially on something like Eleanor Rigby, he could add. You can hear it. He adds this like rhythmic hit.
Yeah,
It's like
well, at the beginning in his solo, he does the weird, oh shoot, what is it called?
Hemiola?
Yes, hemiola. Thank you so much. I was going to say a different word and it was going to be wrong, but he does that amazing hemiola, and he does like the same thing where I have, where it's like 3/4 measures and then 1/3/4, and he does it over that, and he's playing the bass in his left hand, and then he's doing the hemiola in his right hand, and it's just, it sounds insane. I remember that distinct moment in the studio, and I just like remember looking at him like, dude, are you gonna make it? Like, are you gonna make it through this whole hemiola and like, and it's gonna sound perfect? And it did. And it blew my mind.
I do remember him being really excited when we listened back to it in the studio and being like, "Ooh, we all hear that? Y'all catch it?"
It was amazing, man. That was a cool recording of that. But yeah.
What's your favorite tune to play, Zion?
oh man, I think you guys should skip me for right now.
All
I'm
right.
still thinking.
What about you, Christian?
That's funny. Again, with the cliche, it's probably Morning. I love Morning.
No way.
Okay.
So much. I will say as well, I really, really, really enjoy playing. I actually forget who wrote the tune, but La Puerta. I do love to play Morning. It's I love to play a cha-cha-cha groove. It's really wonderful. I will say, little side note, one that we actually just started performing that I really, really love to play, Michelle Camillo tune that we like a lot, that I actually did the chart for, One More Once. It's another really driving cha-cha-cha, and like,
We love those cha-cha-chas.
oh yeah. And it's just really fun to groove on, and just like a fun one for the crowd, fun one for the band. It's really electric in the energy that it creates, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
if I had to pick my favorite one to play, it would have to be one that I wrote, and that's part of why I like playing it so much, is because it's so rewarding to have an idea, write the idea down on paper, give that paper to other people who didn't have that idea, and then have it all come together and it's like your idea. It's that thing that was in your head, and it's gone through several different, mediums, and now it's back, and that's very rewarding and very cool. But I also just like how it sounds. It's called Sauna Boy, and it's going to be on our third album, so look out for that. You'll find it because it's named Sauna Boy, and I like it because it's a really groovy groove.
Cha-cha-cha.
It's a groovy cha-cha-cha. We tend to like those. And it's a cool melody. It's got a nice little polyrhythm drum solo, which once again I wrote for Derek.
Heck yeah.
And but really just the solo section is just it's really simple, just a few chords, but it's so much fun to just like rip over. And that's an opportunity, definitely when we play it live, that you can tend to get pretty adventurous and take a lot of risks. And I love whenever you get the opportunity to do that. But yeah, Sauna Boy, check it out.
All right, I'm ready. So I have to agree. I love Sauna Boy for different reasons. I think that's when Spencer wrote it. So my biggest thing is always I want to take influences from salsa music, and when he brought that in, he really did capture those essences of salsa, those that like not a lot of chords, it's not a lot of like the chord progression is pretty simple, but that is salsa music, because like the harmony is not the main thing, it's the rhythm. So that one's always fun for me because I'm like, oh, like it feels so good. Now, the second one I love to play is actually Christian's original that he wrote, which is also going to be on our third album. And I have a love-hate relationship with this tune because I had this tune name in my bank like for songs I wanted to write, and it's called Walking Distance. And so when he brought it in, I was like, I can't write it anymore. I was like, darn it, you beat me. But it's like one of my favorites. It's a beautiful, beautiful samba. Sometimes we play it as
samba
fast.
when Derek's playing.
Yeah, then Christian yells at me.
The second chorus of every song.
No. I stopped doing that for a while, but last time we played.
We'll be playing it slow, and then Derek kicks it into high gear and starts playing it twice as fast.
I look at Derek, I'm like, double time, let's see it.
Zion
so you're the culprit.
Yes,
it's always Zion.
My face just go from like bright to dark.
Man, you'll be playing those 16th notes. I'm like, I'm hearing it. I feel like Christian's trying to tell me something. He's
telling you to stop.
I'm telling you not to. I've told you with words many times not to do that.
You have.
But yeah, so Walking Distance is just like a beautiful tune that Christian brought in, and it's so much fun to play, and I really like that one. That one. And then Morning. Morning is like the staple El Ritmo tune. And we'll talk more about that because that's the song we're talking about.
Hey everyone, hope you're enjoying getting to know El Ritmo Del Mañana so far. I wanted to take a little break to introduce you to some of their music. This arrangement of theirs really stopped me in my tracks. This is the type of song that pulls you out of your seat, and their performance is so captivating that I thought it was an original song until we spoke. Here's El Ritmo Del Mañana's cover of Morning by Claire Fisher. I picked the song Morning. It's my favorite one that I've heard you all play live. Love the recording. Love the energy I see when you guys are on stage. So who or what inspired you to write this song?
So we actually didn't write it, but it's a tune by a great composer, bandleader, arranger, Claire Fisher. He was a keyboardist, jazz pianist, and he went on to play with Dizzy Gillespie and a bunch of those guys. And he had Morning is actually like his hit song. Like that's how he was well known in the Latin jazz scene for Morning. And it's funny because like I've seen people like Herbie Hancock. He says many times like he wouldn't be who he is without Claire Fisher. Like, and that tune. So it's just a really, really cool tune. It was actually very personal to me because when I started playing jazz, it was actually the first tune I ever improvised in public on. So like that was like my first ever like playing jazz for an audience, and it was terrifying, but it was super fun, and I came to just like love the song after that. So yeah, we didn't write it. I wish we did, but
Yeah, I had never heard the song before you brought it in, but now it's like because of this band, people in town that have never played with this band know that song. So I think that's cool that in a way you've exposed such a cool piece of music to the town. But I just noticed this. I don't know if anyone else has noticed it. But how do you say morning in Spanish?
Mañana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Dang, yeah,
Did you
I
not?
never thought about that.
I went over it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know, but like the fact that was, that's our, a big song from the first album, and it's, it's in our name.
Oh yeah, but it means tomorrow, not morning.
Yeah,
I've never realized that, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Yeah, that is pretty cool. It is like it's a staple. We've been playing. It's like one of the first charts we had in our book, and our book is like huge now.
Oh yeah.
It was like, but before I was like, man, we just need enough music to play for 3 hours, and like so I'll give a big thank you. He doesn't play around much anymore, and I don't think he teaches as Northern, but the guy Pablo Benavides, he was the one who ran Latin Jazz Combo, and he actually like when I told him I was starting my own band, he kind of just was like, you can have the charts like from that we've been playing, go ahead, start your own group. So that was like really helpful of him to do that, and really nice, because usually, I mean, if you ask someone for a chart, they're like, go transcribe it yourself. Like they're not very kind about it, but he was super nice to do that.
So what was the process of kind of arranging it for El Ritmo to play?
This is a funny story. It was his chart. It was basically a lead sheet, which just means like it's just the tune, play the head exactly how like Claire Fisher does it. When we recorded it, we in the session we were figuring out the voicings just like for them to play with each other. And Ryan was actually the one, he's like, what if you played this?
Another shout out.
Yeah, another shout out to Ryan. So we kind of did it in the studio, and then we played it, and we had played it so much already. But yeah.
Yeah. So I guess let's talk it down real quick. We play the melody, and me and Christian take
Don't forget
turns.
the piano intro. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a piano intro that Ryan did that it's very, very Ryan. It's rooted in tradition, but also features some of his roots. And then we play the melody, and then me and Christian take turns playing different phrases of the melody, and then eventually we join together and play it in harmony. Then we go through the solos. Both the horn players, me and Christian, take one chorus of a solo, and then after that we trade. So we take turns playing improvised phrases, and that's always fun as an improviser because you get to have a sort of musical conversation. You get to, say something, and then the other guy will hear it and then respond with some sort of variation on what you played, and that's really cool. And then it goes on to a different musical conversation, this time between the two percussionists, the drum set, and the congas. From there, we go back into the melody, and we pretty much do it down the same way that we did on the way in, except on the bridge, we go into like a a double time feel, which
Yes,
is
we
cool.
do.
And we play all the notes really short, which was, I'm not really sure how that came to be.
We did it once on a gig, and then we were like, that sounded awesome, and we played it that way ever since then.
Yeah.
Like, that we don't play it any other way. And it's so cool having the record out, because when we have to get subs, like if Derek, because these guys are busy people, if we have to get a sub, it's cool to be like, go check it out on Spotify, listen to it, come back, and this is how we play it. And then, you know, because that's what you have to do with other jazz music, is like they tell you go listen to the record. So it's fun to say it. It's like go listen to the record and then come play it.
It's a good way to tell if somebody's listened to the whole song, because it's like at the very end.
Yes,
And it's such like a 15-second small.
So
bit of
you
this.
know if they didn't do their homework, because if we play it and we get to the head out and we're playing the melody and then they don't go into double time in the bridge, I'm like, you didn't listen to it.
Gets the Zion stink eye from behind the congas. Yeah, after we do that bridge, we get like really loud at the end. We play the last phrase a few times, and it's sort of like you hold like an ambiguous chord, and it's all mysterious, and then it fades out. And then I play a trombone cadenza, which I think that just came to be because we were doing that on gigs because.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of rhythmic hits like that. Ryan, again, he just like, he would add those things in here. He'd look at us and be like, and four and like now.
Yeah.
So like at the end when we're like tagging the ending of the song, so just like repeating it, he's the one who came up with those rhythmic hits, and like we that is really cool. We arranged it by like just playing together and making those decisions while we were on gigs, and then we found a way that we like to play it, and then
That's a unique characteristic of jazz musicians.
Yeah.
I've always thought it's because we like to do as little work beforehand as possible. It's like, let's just show up, we'll figure it out, and as a result of that, we've just gotten good at doing it on the spot.
Yeah, and I think another thing to say about that is like we definitely, or we as jazz musicians, we struggle to play the same thing the same way each time and
definitely.
find joy in that.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but we're always striving to like, how can we make it different than we've done it before? How can we make it more interesting to ourselves?
It's really interesting you say that, because that's a real challenge that's come to the forefront with this tune, is because, you know, we played it on that album and we've played it like the same way ever since.
Oh, yeah.
Man, when we play this song now, like when I go to solo, I just like, I have a blank mind, because like I don't want to play the same stuff I played on the recording, but at the same time it's just like in there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone else has that struggle.
No, I definitely, it's like hard to hear it another way now, which I think is like somewhat, that is like cool. Like we played it so much that we found, like we created this way that is like the El Ritmo way of playing morning. It's actually crazy enough. We took videos during that session, and Spencer's brother, who's also an amazing trumpet player, Charlie Merck, he did all of the video editing for us, and it's like our most viewed. It has like 2,000 views on YouTube, and people comment all the time like, wow, this band is so good. So,
and others say some negative stuff,
well,
which has been that's been
Poorly translated.
I think it's good stuff, but it's in Spanish, so when you translate it, it's like these guys suck, but I think it means like these guys are bad, like bad isn't good. You know what? I'm gonna tell myself that.
Doesn't one of them translate to like ugly piano player?
And they're right.
But ugly is like, I think it meant nasty. Like he's, you know, I don't know.
Hopefully.
Anyways,
Well, I'm
so
gonna choose my way to think about it.
We should reply to those comments and just start a huge argument.
Let's move on.
You can cut that out.
Yeah.
So how do you want people to feel when they listen to your cover of Morning? Since there are so many versions out there, but I would say as a listener, I hear your sound. It's just solid.
Yeah.
So I'd love to know how you want them to feel, like what you want them to notice.
Well, I definitely think like what you said, like the sound of the group. Since it was like we just went over, like we kind of arranged it just by like playing it together and everyone adding their own thing, like of themselves to it as individual musicians. Like I think it kind of makes up like the sound of the group, and I want them to be like, oh, El Ritmo Del Mañana plays Morning this way, or this is El Ritmo Del Mañana. Like and I want them to feel good. My whole mission with this group is like salsa music is supposed to just make you want to get up and dance. That's what it was written for, is it's dance music. So Latin jazz has those aspects, and I want people to feel that way. I want people to go, oh man, this feels good. Like, or this is so much fun to listen to because it feels good and these guys are great. Like, and they, have that. So like you said, that you've expressed, I'm glad you feel that way because we want you to feel that way.
The only thing I was going to say is that, I definitely, with that song specifically, and we've harped on it already, the feeling of the cha-cha-cha, I want people to want to dance when they're listening to it. And, along with you feeling happy and wonderful, but you don't particularly want to dance when you're sad. So,
and if you're not a dancer, just a bang and head nod like the whole time. Just want you to
shake, just get down with it a little bit.
We just want them to feel it, like, and go like, man, this feels good. I love listening to this.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So in closing, I'd love to know what's next for the band. Like, you mentioned a Christmas album. This is the moment to plug anything, drop anything. Just let us know what we have to look forward to.
Well, so like I said, we lost Ryan. He moved to Nashville. We didn't lose him.
Keep saying we lost him.
I know.
He's not gone.
He's in Nashville. He's not in the band anymore. So we have 2 new musicians. So I definitely think for me, it's like building a new sound. That's going to. At first, I was really sad about it because I was like, man, but like they're amazing musicians. We've already played a bunch of gigs together, and it's starting to kind of click. So I guess finding that new sound and like doing some new stuff with that, and like figuring out how we play together and what we can make of this new sound. That we have the Christmas album coming out. It's called Ritmo's First Christmas, and it will be released in 2022. But you can buy it I know it'll be on Spotify, Apple Music, all of that good stuff. And that will be awesome. Our 3rd album, we just recorded it in July. I will say I don't have a name for it yet. It's a work in progress. We were trying to finish up the Christmas album before December, so it's coming. It will actually come the same time this podcast is released, like March 2023-ish.
Awesome.
So that will be really cool. So hopefully I'll have a name for it then. We have shows. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and we have a website where we put all our events and all of that stuff. So I think that's it. I would love to go on tour. That's a mission of mine. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming. It was such a pleasure talking to all of you. Stream their music, buy their music, and go to their shows. All right, thank you. Thank you for listening to In My Tracks. The show was created and produced by me, your host and friend, Jada Burt. And shout out to Play Audio Agency for producing, recording, and editing the show, and for composing the original theme music you are currently jamming out to. It is truly a labor of love, and I hope you enjoy it. To continue the fun, follow In My Tracks Pod on all social channels. Don't forget to use hashtag InMyTracksPod to share the songs that stop you in your tracks. Looking to discover even more awesome music? Follow In My Tracks Pod on Spotify for weekly playlists. And please remember to follow the show so you don't miss an episode. And leave a review if you're enjoying it. See you next time!